we're back for another one, episode 2. But we thought this time we'd talk about your products because, that's just the way she rolls. Going back to, again, I'm Dan, that's Alex, that's TJ. You can't see us, but hey, you'll hear our voices.
Hello.
But yeah, besides being paranoid about your rent and your space and all that, I mean, in all honesty, I think if you're paying, I personally think you want to keep it to $2 or $12 to $24 a square foot. If you want to actually get ahead, I mean that's hard, but I mean then that's not counting the triple N stuff. I'm just talking straight rent.
Right.
Because the main question comes down to monetization of square feet, especially at play space. If you're not making money off that, that's potentially dead, but that's a whole other topic. But I mean, just another thing to keep in mind for your rental. But now we come to product. What should you carry? Well, here's a thought. Of course, you're running a game store. You're not carrying that. What are you even doing here?
Yeah, it's you can focus on Magic, but Magic, your margin on Magic's going to be tight, especially because you're going to be competing with other people.
Oh yeah, everybody with a backpack is online. I mean, obviously, depending where you are,
right.
market-wise.
But and because Wizards doesn't have an MSRP, you're going to have issues.
Good old Wizards.
So I think everyone here can agree, and if you ask any games for owner, those 3 things on the screen right now, you have to carry. You have to carry. At this time, D&D, Magic, Pokemon, maybe Pathfinder, because the manufacturer of this fine product has been making some snafus. So it'll always be market leader, if not number 2 at the worst. So I think you're gonna have to carry minimum this stuff. And what I mean by that is when you open, your product line will evolve based on your clientele or what you can move. The worst thing you can do is go all in on something that is not these 3, but even these I wouldn't go hugely deep on. Like carry the core books for this game for D&D, and maybe a couple of the newer products. Magic, try to at least keep standard sets in, and depending on special sets. I mean, this is why you do your research first. And Pokemon, couple sets. This is the minimum. And I'm saying if you're gonna spend a lot of money on any one category, get these. But even then, spread it around. Don't drop $10,000 on the newest set of Magic. Spend $10,000 on the last 4 or 5 sets. Whatever you can get at a reasonable cost. Same thing with Pokemon and D&D. Because the farther you go back, the longer it's been a print, the more it's going to cost you if you can even get it. So you're rarely going to lose money on these, but then it comes into the question of how long is it going to sit there. You need a high turnover rate.
The other thing are the specialty pieces, the collector sets for Pokemon, or commander sets, or any of the collector add-ons that Magic is going to throw out there. And be really careful with especially things like commander decks, because you're going to buy a commander deck and you can go, oh, this is going to be great, but only one of the 4 is actually going to sell.
Because you can rarely buy individual commander decks.
Right.
They're going to be by the case, which is, it's always 4, sometimes 5. But then you have always double check, because was a Wildsville Drain only had 2 different decks?
Right.
But you're still getting 4 in the box. You're like, I'm gonna order 10 cases or 10 boxes of that, but you're getting 20 of each deck instead of 10.
Right. And then you can go out, a lot of times you can get some of these older commander sets for, there are particular ones that are 100, 120, 150, all the way up to 300, and there are a ton of them that are $24.99.
Yeah, then the price go down.
Yeah, so you're going to lose money on them.
And timing, like especially with Pokemon. Like right now, I think it's 151. Like the celebrations, when that came out, couldn't keep it in stock, and now none of the cards are worth crap because they've reprinted it into the ground. So like, new Pokemon set comes out, but the special set is like 3-4 months old. Don't get more than a case of it. Or double check the value. Like the last set, Wilds of Eldraine for Magic. Easy to get. Ixalan had some production issues, so it took a while for the restock. So that stuff was going for a bit more than Wilds of Eldraine was. So it's just about knowing not just knowing what categories you want to carry and what lines, but knowing the value of that product. Like if it's going cheap, but there's demand at your store, fine, get a little bit extra, but don't blow all your money for your Magic on that one set. Oh, this is cheap. Yeah, but because dead inventory doesn't do nothing for you but type your capital.
Right. Oh, and then when it comes to things like board games, if you don't know a ton about board games, talk to your distributor. Find a distributor, trust them. You can ask them, I want your top 20 titles. And they'll send you a list of what their top 20 titles are. And they'll send you, you can just say, okay, I want to open with 2 of each. And, but nothing like Monopoly, nothing, and I wouldn't carry things in a gaming store. I wouldn't carry the mass market games. You don't carry things like Life, Monopoly.
So do we go into I guess the reasons for that? You want hobby industry products. And
right.
by that, I mean, walk in a Walmart, Target, who cares? Walk in there, look at their board games, see what they're selling for. Some games, like when he says mass market, he means the old school titles, the Monopoly, the Shoots, whatever, Clue, all that.
Right.
Because the only reason game stores can exist when Walmart, Amazon, all run everybody else out of business is our industry. If I order 10 copies of this book and Walmart orders 100,000, we are paying the same price within $2 to $5. Where the monopolies, they're going to order 10,000, you're going to order 5. They're going to sell it cheaper than you can get it for.
Right. The other piece on that one is people don't come walking into a game store, a board game store, to pick up Monopoly. They don't come in looking for Risk. Now, they'll come in looking for the special edition Risk or the special edition Monopoly.
But even there, specifically Monopoly.
Right.
When we say special edition, we don't mean like, the NASCAR version or the Your City version. Those are the gimmicky license versions.
Right.
I forget the name of the company, but they actually make retro versions of those games from like 30, 40, 50 years ago. Those ones, like you can carry copies of or versions of these games that are conducive to your business model.
Right. But you're not going to know your business model when you first open. You're just not. And the things that people are going to come in looking for are things that are going to be unique. Your Settlers of Catan is going to be a huge seller. Your Munchkins are going to be a huge seller.
But even then, I wouldn't go deep on it.
I wouldn't go. You don't go deep on anything because you're going to have to understand anything past your first one. You figure you're going to sell one of everything. Everything else you're going to sit on. And so if you're not willing to sit on it for a while, don't buy deep, because you can always buy more in especially board games. You can always order a second copy of it.
There is one category I will say don't go deep in anything with dice. But get all kinds of different dice. Don't get more than like 2 of a color of dice. But,
right.
But you could fill a case with dice and you will sell dice.
Right, and dice will, the Dungeons and Dragons sets that have got the 20-sided and the 10-sided, the 8-sided, the 4-sided, those sell really well. The Chesic, 6-sided, the smaller 6-sided ones, those do really well. And then having a few, unique something that,
some metal dice, some
metal
fluorescent
dice.
I mean, Yeah, because some people have dice problems, like alcoholics have drinking problems. I mean, they just I can't get enough. We found that is a very good category to have a ton of.
Right, and those are that kind of goes along with all the accessories. So you're going to need sleeves. You're going to need deck boxes. You're going to need play mats. You're going to need.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. But I'll say with sleeves is like, I guess this is the difference. Yes, you carry sleeves, but you can just carry basic color sleeves to start out.
Oh, absolutely, and again, don't go deep on anything. You know, you're going to carry your standard monsters. And then, depending on the other brand, don't carry every brand that's out there. Pick 2 or 3 brands and stick to those 2 or 3 brands.
Dragon, as of right now,
Dragon Shields
is a solid.
I like Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro is my favorite brand at the moment. I like them more than Dragon Shields.
Well, I always look at it like you carry a higher end brand, which is Dragon Shield, and then you carry a lower end brand, which is Ultra Pro. Or I don't mean that, but price wise.
Yeah, and just make sure. And so you carry something. You take a higher brand, and then your lower brands, you've got something that's going to make a ton of margin on it. That's that middle to lower brand.
Because some people just want cards like, oh, hey, we're having a draft.
Right.
You're going to buy a $5 pack of sleeves.
Yeah, you want something you're making 50 points on. And on sleeves, you want to be able to sell, a pack of 40 sleeves or 50 sleeves for $3.99 or $4.99, but you want to buy them for $2.
One thing I will disagree with you on is play mats. Because again, depends on the kind, but we'll because Magic's #1 hobby industry. TCG, Pokemon is #1 overall in sales, but Magic's the one that sells best for hobby. Every set, Ultra Pro put out like half a dozen play mats for a set. And you're paying $8 to $12 each, depending stitch, non-stitch, all that crap. And they'll sell for $20-25. As soon as the next set comes out, here's 6 more. You'll be lucky to sell the mats from last set for cost.
Right.
And play mats are bulky. And this goes more towards, might as well get that out there. Supplies. Play mats, boxes, that kind of stuff. Most wholesalers will have a free shipping tier, but they'll always have that exception, supplies. Play mats are big and bulky. Pick up a box of 50 play mats. It weighs more than a case of Magic.
Right.
And you have to pay for shipping on those, even if you hit the free shipping tier. So they're big, they're bulky. Yeah, I spent $8 for that playmat. Yeah, but when you factor in shipping costs, credit card processing fees, which is normally 3%, you probably got almost 10 to 12 into that. And now the next set comes out, here's the next batch. You're going to be lucky to get 12 for it. So what I do is I minimize playmats, the specific ones. I carry just like flat color playmats because those will never go out of style. They will sell a little slower.
Yeah, you don't want to carry everything. You want to be very
or just get one of each. Because you also find, because technically sleeves and deck boxes are supplies, and they're not. So you're not supposed to get free shipping. But if you're just like, oh hey, 6 new mats came out, I'm gonna get one of each, and then you ordered a bunch of other stuff. There's normally room in the box. They'll stuff them there, ship for free. So depends on distributor, depends on how cool your sales rep is. And then if you're like, oh, hey, everybody wants mat C, we'll order more of those. You're not going deep, because my general theory is if I can order more of it on demand, I don't need too much of it on hand.
Right.
Especially, and again, this also comes down to what you're shipping on your distributor. I've got places that I'm a one-day ship, so I order it by noon on Tuesday. I've got it by noon on Wednesday. And then there's other places that are 2-day ships, 4-day ships. So when you figure out who you're ordering from and if they always have it in stock, hey, just order light. Because you're like, oh, if it sells out this weekend, I'll order more. And that also keeps you from having dead inventory.
And that's the key. If you're going to get into things like Funko Pops, because
Don't.
they
are on the way out.
They are on their way out, but they're so hard to buy for, because you may say, okay, I want the top 20 Funkos, and you're gonna to make your display look decent, you're gonna need 2 deep on them. But then, you know, there's only one of the Chase Funkos there, and it's just they're gonna sit there forever.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk specific categories. We're not just trying to generalize.
Right.
This. But the point is here: you want a nice wide array of products, but you don't want to go deep in them. Like board games, probably the hardest SKU or category, because okay, we got a pack. Somebody's playing Lorcana. Okay, I want to build a deck. There's 11 cards in a pack. They got to buy a minimum of 6 packs just to get 60 cards. That's for one person. And let's say you got 8 people playing. That's 48 packs. Somebody likes Catan. One person has to buy 1 game. Well, that covers 4. So board games take up a lot of space. It's 1 copy per 4 people instead of like 6 packs per person. And when you're lucky, like I'm gonna say Asmodee, they've got a bestsellers thing. You call them up, you're like, hey, I want some board games, and they're like, well, what do you want? You're like, oh, hey, they've got a top 30. They'll send you 2 copies of their top 30 games, and that includes stuff like Catan, Ticket to Ride,
right.
The staples, the perennials, and that's all I go. Like you're opening a store, and you don't know what your market's going to be. You don't know what people are going to buy. Call them up. Say, I want your top 2 copies, your top 30. You're like, oh, thank you. And you're like, here's my card number. Charge me, ship me, buy, done. It's quick, it's easy, and you're not getting too stupid on them. Now, if people start buying a whole bunch of board games, hey, go ahead and you've just like with your fixtures, you can always upgrade your fixtures over time. Add fixtures. You can always expand your selection in a category down the road. Don't overdo it on opening. Figure out what people want. Like when I opened, I had my play space and my retail upstairs in like 1,600 square foot. We had 6 tables up there. Mm-hmm. And as people coming in and they're like, not only if they ask, oh hey, do you have this? Do you have that? Ask them what they want before they even open them. So what you find what you're looking for? What do you think we should carry? Get a feel for what people want and slowly expand out that way. Because you know what, people can forgive you for not having what they want when you just open, but. And especially if you have money on it or available to buy what they want. But, if you already spent all your money and you got no money to buy what people want and you got tons of crap they don't, that's just wasting money.
Mm-hmm.
That inventory.
Yeah, it's easier to grow your inventory than it is to shrink your inventory. I guess that's the easiest way to say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And people will understand it with you as a new business that you are growing your inventory based on what they want, as opposed to trying to cram stuff down their throat. You're like, oh, I like this game. Well, try this game. It's the same thing.
Yeah, if you're not 100% sure on what to bring in, talk to the vendors. They'll have top lists in each category. They'll tell you what the top 10 Dungeons and Dragon books are. They'll tell you the top 30 games. They'll tell you the top Magic. But also understand when you're in a trading card environment, when's the next set coming out?
Oh God, yeah.
Because if you're looking at Lost Caverns of Ixalan for Magic, and your store's opening up 3 days before the next set opens, but Lost Caverns is the top stuff, so you're going to buy a ton of it.
Something Manor.
Yeah.
But Ravnica Remastered's coming out in January. So February, yeah. So I mean, it's December. We're getting more Lord of the Rings, or whatever. But they got the remastered set next month, and then they've got the regular release a month after that. Like personally, I'm passing on Ravnica Remastered.
Right, and so all I'm saying is just understand the releases, of Pokemon or any of these sets, because the minute that the Murder at Markov Mansion gets released, Lorcana's probably going to Ixalan's probably going to slow down quite a bit. And you're not going to want to buy, if you're, within a couple of weeks or even a month of the next set coming out, you don't want to go back and buy the Commander sets because people that have wanted these things have probably already purchased them.
But here's the kicker, and this is one thing you really got to keep in mind. So like we know these come out in February. Early February, mid-February. Lorcana drops February 18th, I believe. And then for us, this game of ours, so we're going to have 4 big old releases coming out in that month. And then to boot, the new Star Wars TCG pre-release is March 1st. So it's a good idea, especially, depending when you're open and knowing when things are coming out, to sit on some of that inventory capital for those releases. Get some of the current sets, not a lot. Because we're talking every 3 months like clockwork. And I think the Yu-Gi-Oh set comes out next month. So, hey, we're going to reprieve on that one. But that's 4 major releases within like 3 weeks. And that's, so your bank account's going to have to be nice and full all the time.
Yeah, and if you decide that you're going to skip, a set, you're going to open up, you're going to become a card shop, and you're like, I'm going to skip the next Pokemon release because I've got to put the money into Magic because I'm more of a Magic guy. Your Pokemon people are going to leave. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to keep those customers because they're going to say,
get them because you're
opening. So, and if you've got to make sure that cash flow is there for that next set release for every set that you're gonna carry. Now, if you can't afford to, I can't afford all these on a regular basis. Do you really want to? You have to make a decision. Are you going to carry Force of Will? Are you going to carry Yu-Gi-Oh?
Why Schwartz? Card Fight Vanguard.
Right.
There's
Digimon.
I mean, let's call it. Nobody's going to start all these, but these 4. Oh, sorry, not that one. Yeah. This one. Yeah. You're going to open with these 3 products. You should open them if you can get it. At this point, if you can get it, and then Yu-Gi-Oh. This one's hit or miss. It's what they call a pocket game. You either have 30 players or none. I mean, that's just
right
weird like that.
But you've got to decide, which direction. You can't do it half-assed. You can't do every other set of Yu-Gi-Oh and expect to sell out of the Yu-Gi-Oh that you're going to buy.
Well, that's down the road. But when you open, have a box or 2 the last couple of sets for each, if you can.
If you can, if you decide that you're not going to, you're not going to get these customers. Those customers just aren't going to come in.
I guess the easiest way to think of this is when you open your store, you're like a fisherman. You want to bait the fish. And if you have a little bit of all this different stuff, see what you can catch with it. If you don't catch anything with this, cool. Don't order anymore. If you don't catch anybody with another game, yeah, I mean, you're going to catch people off these 3. Oh, please, you're going to catch people off Lorcana if they can get it. So yeah, you're basically just trying out all these different baits to see what you can catch, and then grow it from there. Which brings up at least a point that I like. Say you got 10 people come in and they ask for Yu-Gi-Oh. That doesn't mean you should get it. Every suggestion from your customers in the first 3-6 months, I'm going to be rude here. It doesn't matter. Now, if those 10 customers ask for Yu-Gi-Oh, and those 10 customers come in every couple of weeks, yeah, it's probably worth it. But when you open, you're like the flavor of the month. People just come in, hey, what's this place? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I like games. I'm not saying people's opinions are not valid when it comes to product, but to you, it's not valid until you've seen them at least 3, 4, or 5 times and they've asked for the product.
Right. If you've got a play group that comes in and they're playing, you've got 8 people playing Yu-Gi-Oh on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
You may want to bring in some product.
Well, I mean, you should have something to start.
Right. But again, that's why working the store as soon as it opens, working the store and taking a look and understanding what is selling, because you may be focused purely on Magic and just go, why do I carry Yu-Gi-Oh? Why do I carry Pokemon or Force of Will? It's all really stupid. And then you can go back and look at your numbers and go, wow, only 25% of my total card sales are Magic, but God, 35% of my sales are Lorcana. You may just be so focused on one part of your business that you just completely overlook another one. Tracking that information is really, really important. That's why taking a look at a POS system that's going to allow you to track what you're selling
categories.
categories at minimum.
Turnover
If you can get it to actual SKU, even better. But just having an understanding of what is moving so that you can replenish that and put the money where it belongs, where it's going to turn the most.
Now let's talk about why you're going to fail. And this has happened with all. Well, I'm not sure about that, but with this game, we're going to use this as a modern example. Right now, the theory for Lacana is, hey, if I can get it, I'm going to buy it. Oh, we got $100. Buy it all. Set 1, true. Set 2, true. Third set was just announced, but the restock for set 1 just came out, or is about to, and I actually turned down product because I've been tracking the prices of the seal product, and it's starting to normalize to MSRP. Because when this stuff first came, it was like $350 a box. It was $250. Set 2 started out like $300, $275. Now it's down to $206. Now MSRP is $150. And this happened with Magic back in the day. People were like, oh, I can't. And with Pokemon, in the last couple of years, people are like, oh, I want 100 boxes of this. Well, and then for a couple of sets, we can send you get allocated. Oh, we can only send you 10. We can only send you 25. So then the next set, oh, I'm going to order 200. I only need 100. I'm going to order 200. Then Fallen Empires, Homelands. People ordered 100, 200 boxes with only 25, and they got it.
There hasn't been a set like Homeland or Fallen Empires.
Well, no, it was a crap set too.
Yeah.
But the point isn't whether the set itself is good or bad. The problem is, and Yu-Gi-Oh just did it earlier this year. They had their 25th anniversary. They reprinted the first 6 sets, released them all in June. All boxes. The original 6 sets are reprinted with boxes, and people ordered a ton. And now, on Yu-Gi-Oh, you're paying about $60, $70 a box. And you can go on TCG Player and get, I think, all but one of those boxes are under $50 a box.
Oof.
So anyone that went heavy into them lost their butt.
Right.
But my point is Lorcana is weird because it's Ravensburger's first TCG. They didn't know how big the demand was going to be. So they underprinted sets 1 and 2. Set 3... But there's already the second wave of reprints is coming out. Set 2 shortly behind. Set 3 they should have the production issues fixed. So, but people have been ordering literally. I mean, from people I've been talking to, you're gonna get 24 to 70 boxes right now, and all these. Well, I ordered like 400. When they get their 400 boxes, they're gonna lose their butt because we get a 2-week lead on this game. And when we start getting everything we order, that means the Walmarts and the Targets are going to get, right now, they get like a box or 2 weeks after we get it, and that stuff sells. But that means if we're able to get everything we order, they're going to start getting their restocks too. So pretty soon, I think set 3, MSRP will be the norm for Lorcana. And then by set 4, you'll see the price start dropping. Then the boxes will be, instead of 150, like 140, 130. And then the price starts going down. And when everybody is trying to sell all their excess product, it's a race to the bottom. So when you order stuff, you really don't order more than you think you can reasonably sell. Because if it's a solid product, made solidly, once you earn, you'll be able to order more. That's just the way I look at it.
So when you're looking at this inventory, and I've opened my store, and I've ordered 4 cases or 4 boxes of each of these, but Yu-Gi-Oh is not selling at all in my store. I'm still sitting on 3.5 boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh. What do I do with it? What would be your recommendation to get rid of that product? Or do I just sit on that product to have it in the store?
See, these questions aren't easy. Because, I mean, and this should be your mentality on most of your product. It was dead inventory. I mean, optimally, you want to make something off it. But, worst case, you want to at least get cost. The problem is, and this is where, I mean, it's a whole nother topic, how you fund your product acquisition. Now, if you're smart, you won't buy unless you can afford it. That's the way I do business. Because, credit cards, we don't really want to go down that road.
Well, we will eventually.
Right, but I'm saying that as right now. So if you have an active community, and let's just say you ordered a couple extra boxes of the last set.
Right.
Okay, great price support. Just run some events. Oh, hey, man. Let's say you got $2 to $3 per pack invested. You're like, oh, hey, we're going to run a tournament, $6 a pack. Let's say you normally give out a pack to everybody, and then, you throw in another pack for price support, for top, whatever. You're like, oh, hey.
Well, I'm talking about having something like Yu-Gi-Oh! And not having a community for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, you don't. That's what I'm saying. If you do have a community,
Right. No, I'm talking. I don't have a community for Yu-Gi-Oh, and I've got $300 locked up in product.
Well, I'm just running on the list. If you have a community, use it for price support, give extra price support. They're happy to get, and you get rid of it. If you don't have a community, you've always got online.
Okay. So where would you recommend that I sell it online?
Well, now we go to TCG player to start.
Okay.
Is it selling for cost after fee, shipping, all that crap? That's the first thing you got to look at. Like if you paid $60 a box and it's selling for $60 on TCG player, no. If it's maybe eBay's a little better, check completed listings because you figure anywhere between 10-20% fee shipping. I mean, you do the math based on your account level, all that crap. Because the key here is I want to get rid of it, but at least make my money back.
And that's the key, and that's kind of where I was trying to lead you is I've got, instead of letting this just sit on my shelf, I've got $300 of frozen cash sitting on a shelf in Yu-Gi-Oh! And saying I can sell it at retail for $450. I'm like, that's great, but that's $300 I can't buy something else with, and especially early on, you're going to have flow issues with money.
Right, and that's why it's so important to not overorder.
Right. Don't overorder. Don't go. I love the go wide, not go deep. And, but if you see something, if you're sitting on something for a while and it's not moving, it's okay after fees and everything else to sell it at cost. Because what you're doing is you're rotating that money out into something else, and you're freeing up the capital that you can go out there and buy something else. So don't get to the point where you're stuck in a mindset that says retail is $450. I've got to sell it at $450 because you're going to be sitting on that stuff forever and ever and ever. It's going to be a slow mover. I would sooner make 5% on that money, but have that cash free up,
right,
and be able to say, I'm going to turn that into something that is going to.
And you've got a couple
an extra box.
Well, you've got a couple extra options on that too. Let's say you got 4 boxes sitting around. All right, move 3 of it. You can keep one on the shelf, just to show people. Yeah, we have Yu-Gi-Oh, and we can order it. Like we got Yu-Gi-Oh upstairs. It's probably 3-4 sets old.
Right.
And we occasionally have people go, "Oh, give me a couple packs." But and the way I look at it, it's advertising dollars.
And that is the way to look at it. Is I've got, but be okay with that. Be okay that you're going to have a couple of dollars. And there's a lot of product. Like when you're going out and you're buying board games, you're buying say 2 of each, and you're going to sell 1 of everything, and that other one is going to be retail facing, so people see that you have board games. If you don't go out and buy the top 30 in board games, and you only bring in, say you only bring in 10, you're not going to have enough of a facing, you're not going to have enough of a presence for people to come in and go, oh, you're a board game store. They're just going to come in and go, oh, they've got a board game here and there. You need a presence to show what you're carrying. If you're going to carry card games, you do have to go out and buy, 2 sets, 3 sets worth of Yu-Gi-Oh. You're going to have to go out and buy, 5 or 6 sets of Magic or Lorcana or Pokemon, what you can get to show people that you actually carry this stuff. Because if you only have, If you walk in and the only Magic you've got on your shelf is Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and you're a new store, you're not saying I carry Magic. You're just.
But it's also not the death knell. I mean, you should be able to get the last couple of sets. But I mean, well, and here's the other major difference that a lot of people don't see. So, Pokemon, the Elite Trainer boxes and booster boxes, great products. Grab them up. But then you get all the special sets. They'll have like a Pikachu EX blah blah blah. That'll have Paradox Rift packs in it. Pokemon puts out a lot of SKUs and different products that are basically different ways to package their
Main set.
their booster packs.
Right.
They got tins, they got mini tins, they got tomato, whatever. And we have a couple of those up there, but we don't go deep on them because they're fine. But one, that stuff you can get at Walmart, and two, at least the people that buy from us, they just want packs. They want nice, efficient ways to get packs. Elite Trainer boxes and booster boxes are the best way to get that. Now we look at Magic, and at least starting with the next set, they'll have play booster boxes, collector booster boxes, commander decks, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But those are distinctly different products. The cards you can get from play and collectors are different cards. Commander decks are pre-cons. So it's like, I want to carry all the different product types for this set. I don't want to for this. For Lorcana, I do, because, again, it's just repacks, except for the decks. But the Troves, the gift sets, and the booster boxes, they're all the same packs. But, and this is one reason I like, at least what Lorcana's doing right now, the gift sets and the Troves are one and done. Once they're printed, you can't get them anymore. And at least for set 2, the gift set is 4 packs and has 6 basically promo cards in it. So that's a little something extra. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh's extra products, I buy the booster boxes, that's it. Structured decks are hot garbage. The tins, meh. So these, I'll buy all the auxiliary products for these I will not. So, and again, maybe your market will vary, but when you're going to buy your initial setup, maybe get a couple of things for these just to see if people like them. Because some people like the Pokemon pin sets. They like the extra big cards that come in the little EX, VMAX, whatever sets are coming out for that. But not everybody does, and it's not going to be worth it to buy like, I'm going to get 12 boxes of the boosters and 12 of the new, Venusaur EX, hyperbolic, who cares? So be careful of overbuying on that stuff too, because when that stuff doesn't sell, you'll be lucky to get your money back on it. I guess that's so check out. Be careful of ancillary products like that, I guess.
Yeah. It's understanding. Stick with when you first open. Stick with booster packs. Magic's a little different. Lorcana's a little different, just because of Lorcana being so new.
What do they call it? They go Troves for this, bundles for this,
Yeah.
ETBs for this. Those are generally good hits too.
And then to understand your business model. If you have people that come in and buy a lot of Pokemon, maybe the tins are something they want to, play with. Get a tin or two, bring it in. Don't go deep in it. Understand that understand your customers. If you're getting a lot of kids coming in and mom and dad's coming in with the kids, you're going to sell a little more Pokemon. And if you can get some of those, especially around holidays, if you can get some of those higher priced Pokemon packs.
Oh, the premium collections?
The premium collections, might be birthday presents, Christmas presents, things along those lines. It's just understanding your customer. But showing a little bit of everything, including Force of Will.
Shorts.
Yeah.
The Bandai games.
If you show Force of Will and you have a couple of people come in and all of a sudden, you've been open 2 weeks and your Force of Will's gone, you might have a Force of Will, group. It doesn't hurt to sell out of something and then just have to reorder it. It's better that than I would sooner have at least an initial order selling out of all this stuff, and I'd be okay with just sitting on a box of Yu-Gi-Oh, because hey, I tried. I just don't have that customer.
Do we, I mean, yeah, and we're just focused on card games, obviously role-playing games, which is a little different. You're going to carry D&D and Pathfinder, no-brainer. Anything beyond that, just get the core rule book, because you go into card games, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, until they fix production. Then it'll bump probably this one out to be number 3, and who knows. But you know what the top 3 are. Board or RPGs, hard to say. We know Pathfinder and D&D are number 1 and number 2. Anything beyond that, take your time with. I mean, you can get core books for like Vampire the Masquerade. That's a pretty popular one. What else? Well, Critical Role's RPG's coming out. Dragonheart's coming out soon. That might be pretty good. But again, core rule books. Maybe some Starfinder, which is the Pathfinder sci-fi version. But you that's something you really want to take your time with, because RPG books are higher cost, like board games, and very niche-y beyond the top 2.
Okay, now what about other games like BattleTech and the Warrior type?
You really, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm totally biased, but don't do Warhammer. Unless you've got a raving group of 10, 20 maniacs that just die by this game, and you are nowhere near a GW store, do not touch Warhammer.
Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not touch it.
Yeah. You're not going to get it at a good price. There is so much you have to carry. The selection is nuts. You'll never make your money back on it.
The only way, and this is a big if, you're going to need at least a hardcore group of 8 to 12 players. You're going to need the space to play it, which is specialized tables, terrain, blah, blah, blah. So just to run the stuff, you're probably looking at least anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000 investment. And then you got to get the stuff. And most of the people that are hardcore players, they're going to have all the basic stuff that you're going to carry anyway. Now, I'm not saying don't carry any of it. I'm saying I think the intro package between like 10 and 20 grand.
My stores, we didn't carry any of it. We just, it was one of those things, we carried Yu-Gi-Oh! We had Force of Will. We had, those card games. We had board games. We had video games. We did a ton of Magic. But we just stayed away completely from Warhammer. And we weren't going to be focused in on enough. We didn't know enough about it.
Right.
And we weren't going to put money into something that we weren't what we would consider expert.
Because you were talking about, I got $300 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now imagine having $5,000, $10,000 in Warhammer.
Right.
And again, we're not saying don't carry it. Just if the GW rep calls you, they're going to push you to get their whole little bit. They have different levels of intro and stuff. But there are 1 or 2 distributors that you can order stuff from. So, like, if you want to get a starter army or 2 to see if there is interest, but I mean, even the cheap ones, those are like $100.
Right.
So there are ways for you to get some in to see if there is interest, but to go full into it as a line, and then you got to check where's the closest GW store. Like, we have a store that runs Warhammer 30 minutes from us, and an actual Games Workshop store about 40 minutes from us. And if a new product comes out that's hard to get, or you order 10 copies and send you 2, whatever, you'd be darn sure the GW store's got 30 copies of it. They're going to stock their own stores before you.
Right.
Even if you are a premier partner and all that stuff. So, I mean, there's a litany of other things that I've heard about them. But anyway, back to the, you were saying, I got you. There is one other option for dead product. And this is networking. On Facebook alone, there are literally a ton of retailer private groups, and you can go there. Hey man, I got 4 boxes of this. Anybody want it? Or anybody want to trade? Insert X game here. So that is another way to try to offload dead product, which is really nice. It's just, technology lit.
Right. The other thing that you can do is if you do want to get online, crack the product. You know, crack.
Do your research first. Is that box worth it?
Yes. I'm not sure I would crack Yu-Gi-Oh, but
The EV on Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't think has ever been above.
Right.
But like, there's MTG Goldfish, which is for Magic. Like, you can go on there and select a set in a box, and it'll tell you the expected value from cracking that box based on singles prices and the pull rates. And you're like, oh, the box cost you $95, and EV is like, and I think you can select rarities too. Like, it's got overall EV for all the cards, you can build rares and higher, whatever foils. And it'll be like, oh yeah, the EV for this is $150. So that's saying, oh hey, if I crack this box, I can expect to get at least $150 in singles value. Now, I don't know if there's an equivalent for Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, but if there is, I mean, the point is, do your research. There's options out there.
right. The other thing you can do is that you can crack product for singles that you want to sell inside the store.
That is what, yeah.
So not necessarily just online, but if you want to have a Lorcana, Force of Will, Magic presence, and you want people trading product in, a lot of times people are going to trade things in for store credit because they want stuff that's either in your case or, however you're going to display this product. If you're going to have it online, how you're going to do it. But showing people that you have singles day one is going to help people bring their product in and expect to pay a little extra, at least early on, for singles. The basic rule of thumb is 50% store credit, 25% cash off of, and most people use TCG. And so just, go on to TCG, find out, the median price for that item or the price that it's
Lowest listed.
Yeah, the lowest listed, and just go, hey, we're gonna pay 25% cash, 50% store credit on a lot of the stuff. Have a bulk price that usually a good starting bulk price is $5 per thousand, and that's just a starting point. If you need more bulk, you can go up a little bit. I wouldn't go up a whole lot, but you go up a little bit. And when I say a little bit, it's $6-7. I wouldn't go up to $10 a thousand. I wouldn't ever.
But bulk is a whole different. We could do a whole freaking 50
Right.
minutes on bulk.
But you're going to need stuff in your case that's going to show your Magic singles, so they come in and they go, oh, cool, you've got singles. Yeah, I've got a couple. Do you want to, do you have anything to trade? And that is just part of that starting package. You're going to need to crack some product so that you can show, if you don't own any of this stuff on your own. If you do own this stuff on your own, that binder that you had,
you're bringing your own collection to the business. Yeah, go ahead and throw some stuff in the case. That's what we did here. We had a little bit of stuff for certain things. So yeah, just populate your case. That's a whole other topic too. Window dressing, but for your entire store.
Right.
Always make stuff look flabby. That's a whole other topic. It gets kind of ridiculous. The amount of subtopics that can just shoot off all these topics. But yeah, I think that's product diversity. Obviously, if you want to be a board game store, you can go heavier on the board games. But again, this all, whether it's buying your fixtures, buying whatever category, say you want to do models, plushies, Legos, never do Legos. It all comes down to research. If you're lucky, you know your area, you know your customer base, you're connected in with all the nerds and stuff. And that's hopefully what you got going on, and going in. Even something as simple as, I think it's called city-data.com. It takes census data. You can go in there, and you're like, oh hey, my store's going to be here, and it drops a little pin on the map. It'll tell you how many households, average income within 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. This is publicly accessible data. You know, and that, especially if you want to do a business plan and try to get a loan, that's beautiful information to have. You need to know median income, blah, blah, blah. You need to know your, target demographics, which obviously for the most part is going to be 13, 25-year-old males, whatever. But, there's other categories. ICV2, I believe, is a site. They have a lot of good information. I know they have monthly sales figures for games, board games, collectibles games. There's all kinds of information out there. You just got to find it and figure it out.
Yep. And then, lastly, make sure you're reaching out to distributors in the area for everything. Every part of the country has a different distributor.
There's a few that are everywhere.
Yeah, there are a few that are everywhere, but for the most part, you're going to have a separate distributor than you're going to have on the West Coast, because if they have a 4-day ship or somebody else is a 1-day ship. You want everything to have a 1-day ship.
There's a good topic for next one.
Yeah. So,
but I know there are groups on, at least on Facebook, like opening a tabletop store that you can go in and pick guys' brains that have been doing this for 30 years, longer than Alex has been alive. So I mean, there's a lot of good sources out there. There's even I'll have to dig them up, but in one of these days I'll show them. There's actually I think 2 or 3 books written specifically for opening a game store, because our niche is very ignored when it comes to research and stuff. But I think that'll do it for this one.
Thanks for coming by.
I don't know if that line's gonna catch. We'll come up with something.
thanks, guys.